we will be looking at problem solving, which is basically doing word sums, and you will have activities for this week to do. So this PowerPoint video is going to explain to you how we do problem solving. We're going to look at some examples. So if you get stuck on any of the problem solving questions, or you're not sure how to do them, please use this video or PowerPoint to go back and practice again, or help you to figure out what to do. Alright, so problem solving in mathematics is basically word sums. So out of every word sum sentence, you can do a calculation. So when we give you those little word sum stories, there is a calculation. You can find a sum in there. So the sum in the sentence may consist of the following calculation tools. In other words, when you read the sentence, you might find one of these things to be able to do the sum. So you might find addition, like a plus sum, subtraction to minus, multiply, where you have to do times, multiplication, divide, where you would do division, doubling, or halving. Sometimes you might have more than one of these in one sum. You could have a plus and a minus, or a times and a half. There's lots of different varieties, but you usually will have at least one of these in each story sum. Word sum calculations consist of the following. So how do we do an actual word sum? So the first part we have is O. Now that is the open number sentence. So this is the sum that you can see in the question. In other words, what is this story or the question telling you to do? And that is where we look for our keywords like less and more, double and half, times, each, so that we know what we are supposed to do. So an example would be, for, let's pretend we had a story and we found that it was 54 plus 43 equals X. Remember, you may never ever put an answer by O, because that's not what they're asking for yet. We are only now trying to put the words from the story into numbers to make a sum. So we don't have an answer yet. We haven't calculated anything. All we're doing is showing the story as a sum. And that is why X is known as the unknown answer. It's open still. We don't know it yet. So we've just put X there so it's not blank, but there's no answer there. The next step we will have is S. Sometimes it could also be C. So it could be the actual calculation or the sum you will do to get to the answer. Remember, we could do more than one sum or calculation. Sometimes we might have 2 or 3 sums or calculations in order to find the answer. So for this one, there are 2 methods you could use. Because we've now started with vertical addition, you can use that method when you're calculating your answers for story sums. So instead of doing it like we used to horizontally, where we would say 54 plus the 40, get an answer, plus the 3, get an answer, when we're going across, you could now just put the numbers underneath each other and add them from top to bottom, starting at the units vertically. So you would say 4 plus the 3 is 7, 5 plus the 4 is the 9, there's no carryover, so we've got 97. And lastly, we have A, which stands for our answer sentence. In other words, we now have to take all of the sums and calculations we've done. We've got a final answer, but we need to write it in a sentence, because they asked us the question in a sentence, like the story. So we need to give our final answer in a sentence. So for example, we could say there are 97 grade 3 learners in Midstream Ridge. So we wouldn't just have 97 anymore, we would explain our answer in a sentence. Alright, so we're going to do some word sums together. So the first word sum we're going to do, I'm going to go step by step with you. So you're going to need to get yourself a piece of paper or something to write on, a book or an exam pad or anything like that. And you'll need a pencil. If you have a whiteboard and a whiteboard marker, you can use that as well. Just something in front of you to be able to write out the sum like I'm doing step by step to practice. You will also need to pause this video or presentation as we go through the word sum step by step, because obviously it's going to play automatically now. But what you can do is, as I've given the instructions slide by slide, you can just push pause and get yourself ready. Make sure you've done the step correctly, and then when I carry on, you can continue with me by pushing play again. Alright, so the first word sum we have is, we have 478 books about animals in the library. Anne takes 124 books out of the library. How many books are left in the library? So if we look at this example, the first thing we need to do is decide what is the question. So the question is, how many books are left in the library? The second thing we need to do is decide how will the open number sentence look. So you need to look at the key words in the question and try to think, are they asking us to do a less or a more or a times or divide? What are they asking for? Now the fact that she took the books out of the library tells us that we need to minus something. So we take our total, 478, minus, taking them out, 124 equals X. The next step we need to look at is we need to calculate the sum. So now that we know it's a minus sum, we can just do a calculation. So if you prefer to work horizontally by writing 478 minus the 100 minus the 20 minus the 4, it will be marked correctly. There's no problem. But because you can do a vertical method now, it's very easy to write it over each other. So the bigger one on top minus the smaller number, and you just work from top to bottom, starting at the units, because that's like the little door. So you would say 8 minus 4 is 4, 7 minus 2 is 5, 4 minus 1 is 3, and there is our sum. The next part we will look at is the last part of answering our question, and that will be to write our answer sentence, or A. And this means we need to go and look at what was our actual question that we are trying to answer. Our question was, how many books are left in the library? So our answer has to be, there are 354 books left in the library, because we are answering the question in a sentence with the number that we worked out when we did our sum or our calculation.